As soon as we leave our compound, it's clear who is now in charge. Taliban fighters have flooded the capital. Smiling and victorious, they took this city of 6 million people in a matter of hours, barely firing a shot.
This is a sight I honestly thought I would never see. Scores of Taliban fighters, and just behind us, the U.S. Embassy compound.
Some carry American weapons. They tell us they're here to maintain law and order. Everything is under control. Everything will be fine, the commander says. Nobody should worry.
What's your message to America right now?
America already spent enough time in Afghanistan. They need to leave, he tells us. They already lost lots of lives and lots of money. People come up to them to pose for photographs.
They're just chanting death to America, but they seem friendly at the same time. It's utterly bizarre.
At the presidential palace, the Taliban are now guarding the gate. They say they're here to fill the vacuum left when the government fled. But the welcoming spirit only extends so far, and my presence soon creates tension.
It's because of you.
They've just told me to stand to the side because I'm a woman.
Outside, ordinary Afghans clamored to talk to us, struggling to process the dizzying speed of Kabul's fall.
Actually, I feel nothing right now. We want peace. We are tired of this ongoing war.
What does the future look like to you now?
You know, I cannot predict even in seconds right now, and I can't predict even minutes right now. So that's why I don't know what will happen tomorrow and what will happen after.
You know, in many ways, John and Brianna, the story today is about the people who aren't out on the streets, who don't feel safe, who are petrified, who are wondering what the future will bring, who are hiding out. There are tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of them across this city. We can't see them, and they're not speaking because they're so concerned. Their voices are largely silent, but still, when you think of those images at the airport, you have to keep those in your mind. That is the other side of the coin here, the dark reality of the absolute bitter fear that is consuming so many Afghans in this new, bizarre world.
That's really the description coming from inside of Afghanistan. Clarissa, I was trying to have some women who are holed up there in Afghanistan on the show today, trying to book them on the show through an Afghan-American cousin who is here in the United States, but they're just too terrified. They're too terrified to come on, even with the promise of obscuring their voices and their identities. And right now they're holed up in their house. The Taliban is walking outside of their house, and they worry it's just a matter of time until someone knocks on the door.
And absolutely, especially for women who have been outspoken, for women who have had prominent jobs, women in politics, women in the judiciary, female journalists, all of these women, incredibly strong, brilliant women, are right now absolutely petrified, just waiting to see what happens. Where can they go? Where can they turn? Will they become a target? Many questions.
Clarissa, we are looking at pictures right now, scenes from the airport in Kabul. Obviously, the frenzy of people trying to get on planes there. But can people even get to the airport at this point?
So we had several teams of colleagues who tried to get to the airport yesterday, and it was mayhem. Essentially, the entire road was completely blocked with cars. You had people driving down the wrong side of the road. You had one American friend told me there were just scenes of chaos, this crush of people trying to get through, and then there was shooting. It's not clear whether the shooting was targeting somebody or whether it was simply someone trying to scatter the crowd because the chaos was too much. But as you well know, whenever you have a scene like that, where you have a crash of humanity, where you have absolute chaos, where you have bullets flying, that's when people get hurt. And I think those images that you're seeing, and they're seared into all of our minds, speak to this desperation. How desperate, how petrified does an individual have to be to risk everything and just try to physically crush yourself on to the outside of an airplane? Those images of people holding on to a U.S. Air Force carrier. I think that's something many Americans will, and people around the world, will not be able to get out of their minds for quite some time.
Yeah, they are risking death because they're certain they're going to face it there in Kabul. I wonder, Clarissa, what will become of the U.S. Embassy now that Americans have left? I mean, is there a possibility that we could be seeing a Taliban flag flying over the embassy? Are there security forces there to stop something like that happening?
We didn't see any indication of security forces there. Look at what the Taliban did last night in the presidential palace. Hours after Ashraf Ghani fled the country, the former president, they were in there asserting themselves, holding court. And I should say these are mostly commanders and fighters. We have yet to sort of have the arrival, let's say, of the more seasoned Taliban political leaders. And I think they will be trying to call the shots with an eye on what the international community will be thinking and making of this whole situation. But it is certainly quite possible that you will see the Taliban enter the U.S. embassy. Certainly, there's no real way at this stage to stop it.
No, because the U.S. has completely evacuated said embassy. I guess a really important question over the next few days, Clarissa, is what are the Taliban's intentions toward the airport, with the one remaining site where people can get out?
I think for now, the Taliban is happy for the airport to be under the purview of the U.S. for as long as those evacuations are going on. In a strange sense, they don't want to do anything that would impede those evacuations because they want all foreigners out of this country. And they said as much to me many times on the streets today. So there is a sort of threshold of patience whereby they're willing to wait out the next couple of days until those evacuations are complete. But one can only assume that at some point they will very much want those 6,000 U.S. troops to leave, as well as, some various British and other nationalities, military, who are also here evacuating their own citizens. We don't know yet, though, what the Taliban's timeline is for that one. They have said they will not declare an interim government, a transitional government, until everybody is out.
As you mentioned, Clarissa, your dress code has clearly changed here in the last days since the Taliban took over Kabul. Is it safe there? Is it less safe for you? Obviously, you're reporting from the street, but what are considerations right now for foreign journalists like yourself?
Well, we've been told that we're free to report here. We're very cautious. We have good lines into the Taliban. Anytime we want to shoot video on the street, we'll stop and we'll go and ask them. For the most part, it hasn't been a problem. Occasionally, my gender does flummox them. At the entrance to the presidential palace, as you saw, it was sort of an uncomfortable moment, and they were shooing me away and sort of asking why my colleagues had brought a woman with them, which is, frankly, to be expected and not unusual. I will say also, Brianna, a lot less women on the streets today. Normally, Kabul, it's still a conservative society. Women do wear the headscarf, but not quite as tightly as this. You might see them with some hair showing. You might see them wearing colors. You might see them wearing slightly more shapely silhouettes than I'm wearing in this abaya. Today, seeing a lot more burqas on the streets and far fewer women.